Today we are doing a special edition of the channel to explore the real-life Dracula and the places you can visit today to see where he once, or maybe still does, roam. Some of earliest writings about this real-life person describe him as a demented psychopath, a sadist, and a gruesome murderer. You may know him as Dracula, the bloodthirsty vampire made famous by Bram Stoker's novel of the same name. But his story is a bit more mysterious. Dracula was born in the year 1430 as Valdislaus Basarab-Luxembourg. He grew up in a medieval walled city called Sighisoara, located on top of a hill, right in the heart of Transylvania, today Romania. For the early part of Dracula's life he was known as Vlad. When he was just a young boy, his father became a first-class member of an elite society called the Order of the Dragon. Members were required to defend the cross and fight the enemies of Christianity. The Order gave his father the nickname Dragon, which, when translated into medieval Romanian, is the name Dracul. As member of the Order, his father reigned as prince over a conflicted area called Wallachia, which rested right between Hungary and the Ottoman Empire. During this time the Ottomans imprisoned the young Vlad and his brother Radu and held them hostages for 6 years. Upon his release, he returned to Wallachia to reunite with his family, but soon learned that his father was murdered just before his arrival. With his father gone, Vlad could now try and claim the throne of Wallachia. Being the son of Dracula, Vlad was given the name Dracula, the letter A added at the end to signify that he is the son of the dragon. From then on, Vlad officially became known as Dracula. As the new prince of Wallachia, Dracula ordered a purge of potential enemies. Thousands were tortured and executed in his early days as new prince. And now it gets really complicated. His preferred method of execution and torture was impalement. This is where a long sharp stake or a pole is used to gruesomely penetrate a person's body. The stake is then struck into the ground, with the victim being suspended several feet above the surface. It could sometimes take days for a person to die from this method, according to stories written at the time. Dracula enjoyed impaling people in his dining room. Then he washed his hands with their blood and ate his meals while they screamed in agony. He even boiled and skinned people alive. Some stories take it further and claim that he enjoyed dipping his bread in his victim's blood before eating it. But his most terrorizing act was yet to come. As prince, he immediately stopped paying pittance to the Ottoman Empire. Soon, an envoy consisting of a handful of Ottoman diplomats arrived to inquire about the missed payments. Dracula hosted the men in his fortress, but when they refused to remove their head coverings in his presence, he grew very angry. So, to ensure that their turbans would forever remain on their heads, he had them nailed to their skulls while they were still alive. Dracula knew this would only serve to invite the wrath of the Ottomans. And it did. He managed to kill one of the greatest Ottoman noblemen sent to capture him along with the 1,000 soldiers. For the next several years, he deflected attacks from the Ottomans, until the leader of the empire, or the Sultan himself, raised an army to kill Dracula. With a force of 100,000 soldiers, this should have been an easy win for the Ottomans. But Dracula's cruel tactics changed the odds. He burned his own villages, poisoned all the wells, and locals were forced to evacuate. Except for the sick, those with leprosy, tuberculosis, or the bubonic plague were ordered to stay behind to infect the Ottoman army. At the famous night attack at Târgoviște, his troops killed 15,000 Ottomans in one night, capturing even more. As the Ottomans came within sight of Târgoviște, they came upon one of Dracula's most gruesome acts. Recorded accounts say that in place of a forest of trees, there was a forest of impaled men, women, and children. Most of the impaled were Ottomans, some still in their military uniforms, suspended several feet above the ground, over a fresh pool of blood. Dracula had been stockpiling the dead from previous raids to create this brutal display. In total, it is estimated that 20,000 people were impaled on the road leading to his home. The forest of the dead struck the Ottomans with such terror that they turned around. Dracula regained the throne as a prince of Wallachia until he was beheaded during battle in January 1477 in southern Romania. For centuries, his infamous stories were lost to history. It wasn't until 1987 that Bram Stoker wrote Dracula as a vampire in his famous novel. And was he really a vampire? Subscribe to our channel. This episode was about the real life of Vlad Dracula, and the episode about the true nature of his supernatural acts after his death comes in just a few days. And now just like and subscribe, and maybe share your thoughts to get an access to all of the actual knowledge of this world.